everybody, this is Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed podcast. That time I didn't give a little lyrical introduction, but y'all will just deal with it. So you wanted to start today.
I did.
You did, yes.
Little shout out.
Give him the shout out.
To a special friend of ours, a veteran, Mr. Michael Lee.
Yes.
An avid listener of the podcast, and we do appreciate his support.
Yeah, well, I appreciate all my veterans. Without veterans, we wouldn't be here right now being able to do this. So.
And he thought that maybe it would set a good tone to start out with a little music.
A little music? Well, go ahead, please.
Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-hey. My, oh my, what a fucked up day.
Fucked up.
Plenty of fuckery coming your way.
Oh, yeah.
Zippity-doo-dah, zippity-fuck.
Fuck! Zippity fuck.
Special lyrics
by Michael Lee.
Written by Mr. Michael himself.
Yes, thank you, Michael, for listening. We do like this. Now, like I was just going to say though, Mike, I'm not trying to bash on Trump because I like Trump, I do, but he just does silly shit. And he does silly shit a lot, and I've got to bring it up. First of all, Congress, well, the January 6th panel has recommended they bring charges against Trump for the January 6th insurrection thingamabobber for election fraud and a bunch of things. But it's still up to the DOJ. Still up to the Department of Justice whether or not they bring charges. But this is historic because this is the first time that it's ever been recommended that they bring charges against the next president. Which, Trump makes a lot of firsts.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's the first president that the House of Representatives tried to impeach twice. I mean, I don't. And then, if anybody doesn't know.
Well, he's unique. Like I said, he's unique, man. He really is. Because like I said, even Trump fans, right, appreciate the dumb shit Trump does.
Yeah.
They really do. Trump fans bash Trump, but they still like Trump.
I don't know. Well, they must because look,
they do.
He came out with
he made America great again, Brian.
Yeah. Well, we're writing the shit now, so
it's not his fault.
But clearly. But he came out with something very interesting recently called NFT digital trading cards.
Yeah.
Which are, if nobody knows, NFT stands for non-fungible tokens, which are like Bitcoin, stuff like that.
Right.
They also use it for art, so that, like, your name is attached to the piece of art so you can therefore sell it later on. So he made these trading cards, and it's like Donald Trump head on a superhero's body.
Oh, dude.
And Donald Trump's, it's great.
It's hysterical. No, I literally like the Mount Rushmore one.
Yeah, the Mount Rushmore one.
Statue of Liberty one.
Because good Lord knows that when you speak of George Washington and FDR and Lincoln and Thomas Jefferson, I mean, Trump just naturally rolls off the tongue with those guys. I mean, he's right up there.
Who would be your fifth pick?
None of those.
I mean, because I'm going Trump.
None of Trump. No, not Trump.
No.
Maybe some Clinton.
Billy?
Yeah, he got head in the Oval Office. You can't.
That's huge.
You can't ever forget that. That's right. He had a fat girl suck him off in the Oval Office while he fucked her with a cigar. So, you got to give it to Clinton. And Clinton,
Well, I don't know why.
He did pussy out later on.
Why would you be president if you couldn't do this thing?
I mean, yeah.
And ironically, why do people think they call it the Oval Office?
Well, I do got to give it to Trump, though. Because his wife is fucking, And he fucked a porn star, and he's fucked tons of really, really hot bitches.
Yeah, he just grabs them by the pussy.
Yeah, just grabs them by the pussy.
Absolutely.
Grabs them by the pussy.
I was going to say those Mount Rushmore and the Statue of Liberty cards, for anybody that hasn't seen them, check them out. Because if you've seen the show How I Met Your Mother, then you would understand what I'm saying when I'm saying they look like they're possible.
Possible.
That's one of the best episodes. That shit's hilarious.
No, my favorite one is where he's dressed as a cowboy. I didn't show you that
Trump?
one. Yeah, Trump's dressed as a cowboy.
With fucking chaps on, he looks like a
that's a completely different one.
God damn.
No, he's got a full duster on in this one with horses behind him on the open range, just chilling.
Brilliant.
No, what's brilliant is how much these are selling for. He's selling these motherfuckers for $99 a piece.
Really?
Yeah. And, like, they've sold out already. Like,
of course.
I'm like, what the hell?
Of course. He's a genius businessman and a genius marketer.
The only problem is now people are claiming they're copyright violated. That the place he hired to do these things just took copyrighted material from ads and then just cut and pasted his face on them.
Of course! That's exactly what he did.
They photoshopped Trump's head on a copyrighted ad.
Jesus.
And now they're like, this is a copyright.
Yeah, but they're selling them for $99 a pop, so they're just going to pay off the people that are pissed off about the copyright being broken.
Well, I mean, he's got to do something because his business is in serious trouble because of that investigation for tax fraud and this and that. Now, it's only the lower people in his business, like the accountants and stuff, that are going to jail for it. You know, obviously his son and daughter, nothing's happening to them who run the business because they had no knowledge, clearly, of the tax fraud that went on for the last 10 to 15 years. None. None at all.
Unfortunately, we are living in a world, in a society there that knowledge is not power. Who you know is power.
Money's power.
Absolutely.
That's what it is, yeah. If you have enough money, you can buy Trump's wife.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you really think she's fucking him for the looks?
Because technically, by saying who you know is more valuable than knowledge, like who you know equates to money.
Right.
Like that's what we're talking about when you say it's all about who you know. No, it's all about who you know as long as they have money.
As long as they have money. If you got enough money, I mean, come on. Let's be real. Like I said, Trump's wife is not fucking him for his looks. Okay, old turkey neck Trump ain't getting porn stars and his wife because he looks hot and he's got a big dick. All right? He's getting them because he's got a lot of fucking money. And that's the only reason. Right. All right? Let's be real. I mean,
it's real.
But, you know, I don't think any of the bitches fucking Hugh Hefner when he was 90-some years old was really fucking him for his looks either. Or because they like Grandpa Hefner. They were fucking him because it's Hugh Hefner and he's rich as shit. He's got a mansion that you can live at for free. Well, I mean.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely 100% right. I guess trying to look at it from the woman's perspective. What would turn you on?
Money.
And somebody being willing to spend it.
On
you or give it to you.
I don't badmouth the women for doing it. I think they're geniuses. If you're a hot chick and you can have an old guy take his millions and billions of dollars and give you the life you never could have, why the fuck not?
100%.
Why the fuck not?
100%. As a matter of fact, I plan after I pass from this life. After I pass from this life, and I get to choose to come back and reincarnate.
You want to come back as a hot woman, do you?
Hot woman. And I'm going to gold dig the fuck out of it, bro. And I'm not stopping until I'm on top, and I'm not kidding. Unintended.
I don't want to come back as a hot woman. I want to come back as Zac Efron.
You want to come back as the
Zac
rich
Efron.
hot man?
Yeah.
That the hot women are
Yeah, I want to be the man.
Yeah, I guess I could.
Yeah, fuck the hot woman. Yeah. I don't want to get pounded on a nightly. I want to be the one spending the money. Thank you very much.
I'm curious, I guess, what it feels like to have my clip played with.
I'm cool. Never been curious of that nature. Yeah. That's why I know I've never been reincarnated as a woman.
Their own.
Never been a woman in any of my past lives. I can tell. No. Because I have no feminine thoughts at all. None.
I can buy that.
Yeah, none. Not even kind of an inkling. Like, they say most guys have had like a gay thought sometime in their life. Never have. Never once.
It never crossed my mind.
Never crossed my mind. No. In fact, men repulse me. Yeah. on every level.
We really are.
Yeah, we're really repulsive beings,
Totally
man.
gross.
Yeah, never, ever in my life. Now, speaking of some more news, though, I did find something that humored me a little while ago that I wanted to share with our listening audience.
Okay.
And it's about a Karen. You know what Karens are, don't you?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I love reading stories about these jackasses, and this one specifically got to me. Because this bitch was in Walmart causing a ruckus of some type. She had knocked over a stand of cookies for some reason, like one of those displays. Now, yeah.
Nice.
I don't know why or what the backstory was on any of this, but somehow the police officer that was at the Walmart, at the door there, he got involved. So I guess he told her to leave and get down on the ground. She told the cop, and I quote, "Motherfucker, you will respect me." At this point, the police pulls out his taser and says, "Look, get on the ground now." She said, "Look, motherfucker, I said you're going to respect me in this motherfucking Walmart. You're going to respect me." And that's about as far as she got because he tased the shit out of her.
Yeah, dude.
He tased her and she dropped and flopped like a fish, boy.
Bro.
Yeah, he tased the shit out of that bitch. Yeah, there's your respect, motherfucker. Look, I'm going to tell anybody who doesn't know.
To God I never get tased.
Oh, dude, it's hell.
Have you been?
Yeah, it's not it's not a pleasant experience.
Well, I remember when I was a little fucking kid, dude. I'm 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And I don't even. I guess my mom would probably drop me off out there as a babysitter. But I remember I was out there with a friend out on Wheeling fucking Pike. They were out in the country, kind of they had a farm,
right.
Not a big one, but it had a fucking electric fence.
You touched an electric fence?
Yes, dude.
Motherfucker.
So that's not being tased, obviously.
Well, it's close,
but it's fucking traumatic.
Yeah, that's
never,
right in the same neighborhood.
Never forget that.
Yeah,
holy shit.
That's definitely in the same neighborhood.
So I can't So
yeah,
it's it's the most unbelievable feeling there is.
It doesn't necessarily hurt.
No, that's what's freaky.
Yeah, it's instant shock, and then you hit the ground. That's it.
That's what's freaky.
And then you just kind of twitch until they turn the taser off, and then you're all right. I mean, it hurts afterwards. Your whole body hurts, but
I'm an advocate for all taser guns. Yeah. Like seriously, no more bullets.
Just tase
motherfuckers.
Well, there's a problem. Yeah, but there's a problem with that because if the guy you're going against, if you have a taser and he has an AK-47, you're gonna lose.
True.
Right. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
I said I was an advocate, not a realist.
Yeah.
Not a realist.
No.
Saying if we had it to start all over again, maybe to, tweak the Second Amendment.
Well, it's easier to make bullets than it is electricity.
Especially in 1776.
Yeah, they kind of figured out, muskets way before they figured out electric guns. They didn't even have lights when they came up with, muzzle loaders. So
I mean, dude, you had to fucking go to war and literally, after you shot the gun, you had to fucking pray while you were loading it.
And then nobody else
that you didn't get goddamn shot.
Well, not only that, you got musket balls. I mean, big mini cannonballs coming at your ass.
Unbelievable, man.
That's why, so many people, like, if you look it up, most people in the Civil War died from infection. They didn't die they didn't necessarily die from the wounds. They died from the infection because they got their arms and shit blown the fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, when you got a lead ball coming at you at, 50 miles an hour, it kind of does do some damage to the body there.
Well, yeah. I mean, when all you really have to heal wounds is, like, just to sear it shut with, like, a torch from the wood
of
a fucking fire.
I was reading about the Civil War, and they said those doctors would put their hands in dirty wash tubs that they were using, wipe their hands on their aprons that they were doing, and go right next to the next motherfucker. Without washing their hands or nothing.
Late 1800s that they discovered hand washing was the fucking issue.
Yeah. They had no antiseptic, nothing to
Nobody
dull the pain.
pink.
Yeah.
soap and water.
Yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to pour whiskey on this motherfucker.
Right.
Give you a couple shots to dull the pain, then we're going to cut your leg off. All right, bub? Here we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how we're going to do this. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. At that point, you hope the ball hits you in the chest. You're praying. You don't want an arm taken off because you're going to suffer.
I was just about to say, dude, it really is crazy to think about the amount of suffering.
Yeah, I think I would have jumped in front of it. If it was coming towards the arm, oh no, you're going to hit me center mass, motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to take out my rib cage. Fuck this. Yeah, we ain't dealing with that.
I ain't doing it.
Fucking cut-up artist back here. He's wiping his hands on the apron and just hacksawing away.
Yeah, give a fuck.
Yeah, yeah. There's another guy. Got to cut that leg off. Yeah. Cut the arm. Yeah, here we go. What's the cure, Doc? Well, we cut his leg off with this rusty hacksaw here.
Got some soap and fresh water here, Doc. Would you like to wash up?
Yeah, no.
I ain't got time for
but
that.
Give me a shot of that whiskey while I go cut another motherfucker's leg off.
Absolutely. Don't pour all the whiskey in the wounds, boys.
That's right.
It'll be a long night for
Yeah,
Doc.
yeah. We need some for Doc.
It's hard to stomach the smell of some of this gangrene that's fucking setting in.
I know,
It stinks.
dude. Yeah, and there was nothing they could give him even to cure that. Like, once you got gangrene, you just suffered madly through it until you died. At that point, you think they'd be doing him a favor just to come along and hit him with a hammer.
Well, I'm pretty sure this is fucking true, dude. They were literally I can't remember what disease exactly. They were literally, like, guys that were sick. They were fucking injecting guys that weren't sick. They had to build up immunity against this sickness.
Oh, yeah,
so that everybody didn't die.
Yeah.
So they were purposely killing motherfuckers.
Yeah.
In order to save enough lives to continue the fucking war.
Well, back in the day, they used to have pox parties for kids. If one kid got the chicken pox in the neighborhood, they'd bring all the other kids over so they could all get it at once and just get it out of the way.
And inevitably, at least one died.
At least one.
At least one kid was forcibly made to get it and was killed.
Yeah. Well, let's get them out of the way now. Cut the weak ones from the herd.
Medicine's come a long way.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely has, which is probably why it's unaffordable.
Yeah, well, it's unaffordable because it's insanity that you pay $5,000 to go to the emergency room for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and the fucking $1,100 you paid for the fucking 3-minute ambulance ride there.
Yeah.
Even though it took them 45 to come pick you up.
Yeah. The 3-minute ride there is, that's obviously worth $11,000. But we're not talking about any of this today, as always. And any of you who have listened to the podcast know I digress.
Right, that the first 15 minutes is never about
Right,
anything.
we're almost 20 in now, so I better get to the actual subject. The actual thing we're talking about today is an actual thief who lived quite a while ago, and that's John Dillinger. What do you know about Mr. Dillinger?
He was born in Indy, right?
He was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, yes.
I know he was born in Indy. I know he fucking robbed the bank in Montpelier.
Yes, he did, Montpelier,
Which is,
Indiana. Well, he robbed a lot of banks.
Which is 30 minutes from where we're sitting.
Yeah.
Right
he
down
robbed
the fucking highway we're sitting next to.
Well, he died only 2 hours from us in Chicago.
Did he?
Yeah, he died in Chicago, Illinois.
Did somebody rob a bank in Marion?
I don't know. Recently, it was fucking fine.
No, I thought maybe one of the guys back then did too. Didn't know if it was Dillinger, but one of the other.
I don't know. Maybe
notorious criminals, but I can't remember. I might be thinking of something else.
Well, okay. Do you know he also robbed 4 police stations?
Dillinger did?
Yeah, Dillinger did. So Dillinger was born June 22nd, 1903, and he died July 22nd, 1934. So he was like 30 years old. 30 years old?
Was he?
1903 to 34.
31. And
yeah.
He did
31.
And he did 10 years.
Yeah.
When he was 17, he got sentenced to 10 fucking years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was an American gangster, and it was during the Great Depression, which is kind of understandable why at that point you'd go rob banks, because everybody was starving, and it was either stand in line for a loaf of bread and some government cheese, or go take down a bank.
Well, it was kind of crazy, man. What happened right there in that little area of time was, it was literally like technology. The police force, right? Law enforcement didn't have an edge. In technology.
No.
And that's right when the V8 engine and the machine gun, Thompson.
Yeah, the Tommy gun.
Tommy gun. That's when those two things just hit. And the criminals were able to get their fucking hands on these things more readily than the fucking law enforcement was.
Well, especially when you're robbing 4 police stations, it's quite easy
right.
to get a hold of
a lot of
Tommy
times
guns.
because they were fucking stealing the shit.
Well, Tommy guns, anybody that doesn't know, is a fully automatic weapon. And, yeah, it could shoot, like, I think 200 rounds a minute, something like that. Yeah.
Like, you literally, they could fucking shoot so many more fucking bullets.
Yeah, you'd light up a building, yeah.
And then hop in your V8 engine, and they're not going to be able to catch you. And like it's not a coincidence that most of the crimes happened in the Midwest, the Great Plains.
Oh yeah,
because you're talking about long, huge, straight stretches of country roads. So that was genius.
Oh yeah, of course it was. But so he led the Dillinger gang, and they were accused of robbing 24 banks and 4 police stations. Dillinger was in prison several times and escaped twice.
Oh, yeah, and he famously escaped with the fake gun.
Yeah. He was charged with, but not convicted of, a murder in East Chicago, Indiana. Police officer, or in East Chicago. An Indiana police officer shot Dillon in his bulletproof vest during a shootout. It was the only time Dillon was charged with a homicide.
Dillinger.
Yeah, Dillon. What did I say?
Dillon.
Oh, yeah, Dillinger. Old Dilly.
Old Dilly.
Old Dilly boy.
Old Dillon. Oh, that's just old silly John. That's old Dillon. Oh, yeah, he's up to his shenanigans.
So, Dillinger was courted publicly. The media ran exaggerated accounts of his bravado and colorful personality. Cast him as a Robin Hood. In response, J. Edgar Hoover, and if any of you don't know who J. Edgar Hoover is, you need to go to history class.
He was the first, director of the FBI?
Well, it wasn't the FBI then. It was actually the BOI.
Okay.
The Bureau of Investigation. It didn't become the Federal Bureau of Investigation until later.
The precursor to the FBI.
Yes. But he used Dillinger as a campaign platform to evolve the BOI into the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And they started developing more sophisticated investigative techniques as weapons against organized crime. He evaded police in 4 states for almost a year. Dillinger was wounded and went to his father's home to recover. He then returned to Chicago in July 1934 and sought refuge in a brothel. Of course he did. Why? I mean, if I'm going to recover, why not go to a whorehouse? That's where you go.
If I'm seeking refuge,
a whorehouse is the perfect place.
And I come across one.
Yeah, I mean,
I damn near guarantee you.
Yeah, there's no reason not to live in a whorehouse.
That I found exactly where I need to rest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Especially if I just robbed a couple banks.
But the only problem was the madam who ran the whorehouse, Anna Campanas. So I'm guessing she was Spanish. Campanas?
How do you spell it?
Cumpa with a little U on top of it. You know, the little squiggly. Nas. So Campanas. Campanas?
Whatever the U on the top of it.
Yeah. That A means, yeah.
I don't know. They're really good at fucking rolling.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shit.
But anyways, she later informed authorities that he was there. Because she's a dirty bitch.
Whore.
Fuck her.
No, that whore.
Yeah, fucking whore. On July...
Jesus Christ. Are you telling me I goddamn stopped at a brothel and this fucking whore told the cops on me?
So he ran to the Biograph Theater
Bullshit.
in Chicago, Illinois, and on July 22nd, 1934, local and federal law enforcement officers closed in on the Biograph Theater. When agents moved to arrest Dillinger, as he exited the theater, he tried to run. He was shot in the back and killed instantly. So let's go back a little bit into his past. So he was born, like I said, on June 26, 1903, in Indianapolis, Indiana, on Cooper Street. So any of you in Indianapolis that happen to be listening, Dillinger was born at 2053 Cooper Street in Indianapolis, Indiana.
I'll be damned.
So he was the younger of two children born to John Wilson Dillinger and Mary Ann Molly Lancaster. They married on August 23rd, 1887. Dillinger's father was a grocer by trade and was a very harsh and abusive man. Which, again, here we go. We're going down this road. I'm surprised, if you had fast forward to the 1970s, Dillinger wouldn't be robbing banks, he'd been murdering young co-eds.
100%.
Right, of course. Just a different time period. But, a lot of these criminal types had an upbringing where their father beat the fucking hell out of them. Or wasn't even there, one of the two. So that's what you get.
Of course.
So, in an interview with reporters, Dillinger said that his father was firm in his discipline and believed in the adage, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. His mother died in 1907, just before his 4th birthday, which again, another pattern that you see. But, you see this in, the criminal element. You see it a lot in criminal
trauma, of course.
Yeah, childhood trauma,
yeah, man, that's nuts. But by the time he was 4...
right before his 4th birthday. So, that was a bad birthday for him. Right before your birthday, your mom kicks off. Yeah, 1907. So, his sister, Audrey, was born in 1889. And she married a guy named Emmett Hancock the year his mother died. And she had 7 children.
What a year.
Yeah, I know. His sister gets married and his mother kicks off. She had 7 kids, man. She was obviously busy, boy. Her and old Emmett were getting down. I'm talking,
Mad props
Emmett was laying the pipe.
Yeah, he was. He didn't miss.
Yeah, he was giving Audrey Dillinger some love-in back with 7 kids.
Oh, yeah.
So she also took her brother John in for several years until their father remarried in 1912 to a woman named Elizabeth Lizzie Fields. And her and his father had 3 more kids. So as a teenager, Dillinger was frequently in trouble for fighting and petty theft. He was also noted because a lot of people said he had a weird personality.
Yeah.
Like he would talk crazy, just say weird, crazy shit off the side of his head and just say nutty shit that didn't make any sense. He was also known to talk to himself, and he liked to bully and laugh at smaller children. So, as the other kids came by, he's beating the shit of them, laughing, talking to himself, over here having voices in his head and shit. Yeah.
Probably imitating his father's behavior.
If it had been later on in society, see, that's why nowadays we weed these crazy little kids out early on and put them in a special place. Because you can't just have people just rolling around society like that. Because then you get people like Dillinger. You got to put them in a special place. I'm not saying put all crazy kids in a special place, but some of them, hey, if your child's murdering cats and talking to himself and laughing after he beats up small children, it's time to get him some professional help.
Well, not only that,
I'm just...
No, you're not wrong. And but also, don't you think it's about time that we start finding a way to delve into what's going on outside of school?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that would determine what kind of place they need to be in. You know what I'm saying? Because like you're saying, he probably doesn't need to be with the public.
No.
masses of kids. You know what I'm saying?
No.
He's going to need different special attention.
Yeah.
But that's what happens, right? Parents take word that the teachers are doing what they're supposed to do, and the teachers take the word that the parents are doing what they're supposed to do, but neither one really fucking takes the time to make sure.
Yeah, and the problem is most of the time neither one is doing what they're supposed to
Absolutely.
do. So then
then we just throw the fucking kid into the school, and when he doesn't fucking comply with the rules as they are written, to the T, well, we're outcast.
Mm.
You know what
That
I'm
is
saying?
very true.
And wonder why they start robbing banks.
So, when all of this started happening with Dillinger, he quit school and started working in an Indianapolis machine shop. And he kept getting into trouble, though, so his father thought that Indianapolis was the problem. It was the city. Big city, got to move him away. So he moves him to a small town called Mooresville, Indiana, which I've never heard of Mooresville. Have you ever heard of it?
Oh, yeah, Mooresville?
Yeah, have you?
Absolutely.
Oh, you know where it is?
Oh,
I
yeah.
have no idea. Is it near Indy?
Yeah, it's a suburb of Indy.
Oh, okay.
North or southeast?
I have no idea. Like
Southwest.
I said, I've never even heard
Southwest
of it.
Indy, yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Towards Greenwood.
Oh. So, well, this was in 1921, but Dillinger kept doing the same shit right in Mooresville. In fact, in 22...
Wait, so you're telling me that Indianapolis was not the problem?
No, Indianapolis was not the problem. No.
That possibly.
Could have been his home life. I don't know.
Okay,
I'm not sure, but we would have to ask him, but he's been dead for a lot of years there.
Well, I just
Almost
don't want
100.
Indianapolis to take this bad rap.
So in 22, when he's in Mooresville, he was arrested for auto theft, and his father disowned him completely. So,
Bye-bye.
yeah, father's like, you're done, goodbye. So in 23, he enlisted in the Navy. He was Petty Officer 3rd Class, a machinery repairman. He was on the battleship USS Utah. And a few months after enlisting, he completely deserted. Just hopped ship and went on his way. While it was docked in Boston, Massachusetts. So they pull into Boston. Old Johnny goes in for leave and goes, I'm going to go get some cigarettes, Captain. Never comes back.
Got swept away.
Yeah, got swept away in Boston
Big
lifestyle.
city life. Maybe Dad should have left him in Indy to get adjusted.
So it took them several months to find him, and then he was dishonorably discharged. Which, come on. Yeah. You hop ship, it takes us months to find you, yeah, you're gone.
Right,
man.
it's expected.
So he goes back to Mooresville, and he met a chick named Beryl Ethel Hovius, and they married in 1924. He attempted to settle down, but he couldn't find a job, so he began planning a robbery with his friend Ed Singleton, who was also an ex-convict. They robbed a local grocery store, stealing $50. While leaving the scene, the criminals were spotted by a minister who recognized them and reported them to the police. During the robbery, Dillinger had struck a victim on the head with a machine bolt wrapped in a cloth.
Nice.
And it also carried a gun, which, although it discharged twice, hit no one. The two men were arrested the next day. Singleton pled not guilty, but after Dillinger's father, who was a local church deacon, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Yeah, cool.
yes. He discussed the matter at this point with the Morgan County prosecutor.
Well, I
And-
feel better for his father now, you know what I'm saying? It's okay now knowing he, beat the shit out of his children that he's still going to heaven.
You're damn right,
Right.
because all you have to do is say, I'm sorry. Right.
And I believe.
Well, he was a
Jesus.
church deacon. I mean, they get a special place.
Oh,
Yeah, they're right up there, up front.
Is it
in
the right
crowd.
or the left hand?
Yeah, they get up there in the
Yeah.
front of the crowd, right.
Of course.
So his father convinced Dillinger to confess to the crime and plead guilty without an attorney. Just go in there, tell him what you did.
Daddy knows all.
Right. So he was convicted of assault and battery with intent to rob and conspiracy to commit a felony.
Continue.
Yeah. He expected to get a probation sentence as a result of his father's discussion with the prosecutor, but instead he was sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison for his crimes.
Yeah. Thanks, Pops.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guy. You did me a solid, Dad.
Well,
glad I confessed and glad you're such good friends with the prosecutor.
I did, Johnny, because you're only going to do 10.
Yeah, you're only doing 10.
Not the fucking 50 you should.
Yeah. So his father then told reporters right after the sentence was handed down that he kind of regretted the advice and was kind of appalled by the sentence because he didn't expect his friend the prosecutor to give him that much time.
Oh, holy shit.
His father even pleaded with the judge afterwards to shorten the sentence, but with no success. So then, as part of this deal, he had to go testify against Singleton. So Dillinger, on the way to
deal,
yeah, that was the deal. That was the deal. They worked out the process.
Fucking
yeah.
Just to get 10 years.
Yeah, just to get 10. Yeah.
Well, I got news for Dillinger. I got news for Dillinger's dad.
He's a dick.
Hey, Bub. The judge, not your friend.
No, not your friend at all. Neither one of them.
Matter of fact, he's kind of treating you like you might have fucked his wife or something.
Yeah.
Because this is fucked up.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Damn.
Here's the deal I'm giving you. 10 years, but you got to testify.
Right.
Yeah. And if you don't take this, you've already confessed, so we're going to give you 50.
Nobody was murdered.
No. I mean, he did hit
struck
somebody with a
someone
very
in the
large bolt.
Dude, I mean,
But
5 years would be
yeah,
absolutely,
especially first time. I mean, come on,
right?
So, anyways, as they were taking him to Mooresville to testify against this guy Singleton, Dillinger briefly escaped, but he was apprehended within a few minutes. So Singleton had a change of venue and was sentenced to a jail term of 2 to 14 years. Wow. So Johnny confesses, testifies, and gets 10 years. This guy fought it and got 2.
Probably did 1.
Yeah, good advice, Dad. Great advice.
Thanks for having my back, Bob.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
So he was incarcerated at Indiana Reformatory and Indiana State Prison, both from 1924 to 1933. Dillinger began to become embroiled in a criminal lifestyle. Upon being admitted to prison, he was quoted as saying, "I will now be the meanest bastard you ever saw when I get out of here."
Yeah, well, and like when he got out, well, he goes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's in? Who are you now surrounded by 24/7? Who are now becoming your friends?
Oh, yeah, nothing but convicts.
Convicts, bank robbers.
Yep.
So, and of course you're going to befriend them, right? Because your dad beat you, abused you as a child, now has completely fucking sold you down the fucking river. You know what I'm saying? Anybody, so these guys in here are showing him loyalty. When he gets out, his main focus was to bust them out. You know what I'm saying? That's his game.
Oh, yeah. So, here's some more shit that happened to Dillinger while he went to prison. So, when he first got to prison, they did a physical examination on him. And it showed up that he had gonorrhea.
Johnny boy.
Now, the treatment for gonorrhea back then was extremely painful and consisted of...
Is that sticking shit up your penis?
Yeah, they used to stick rods up your penis to clear it out there, and also beat it with mallets to break up the pus. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, so at this point, he became very...
that.
I'd rather die of gonorrhea, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
Yeah.
Well, how the fuck do they clean it up now?
kind of the same way, but there's a lot more antibiotics now. A lot more. There's a lot more. Yeah, a lot more. No, so there's a lot more antibiotics, so it's a different. But anyways, he became embittered against society because of the long prison sentence. Well, no shit. He gets 10 years. He finds out he's got gonorrhea, and the whole time he's in prison, they're sticking rods up his ding-dong and hitting him with mallets to cure the gonorrhea and shit. Yeah.
That's rough.
So he became friends with seasoned bank robbers in the prison, and they taught Dillinger how to be a successful criminal. The men planned heists they would commit soon after release, and Dillinger also studied in the prison library Herman Lamb's meticulous bank robbing system and used it extensively through his career. They have a manual in the prison library on how to rob banks. just educational.
That's great.
Educational.
Now that's fucking awesome.
So while Dillinger's in prison,
that's job security by the prison.
Yeah. His father launched a campaign to have him released and was able to obtain 188 signatures.
Hey, all right, Dad.
And that helped because after serving just 9 years, 9.5 actually.
Only 9.5 of 10? Nice.
Dillinger was paroled.
Great, awesome.
This was also at the height of the Great Depression. So there was little prospect of him finding employment being a felon and it being the Depression.
And there being no jobs.
Yeah, and no jobs.
Right.
So he immediately returned to crime. On June 21st, 1933, he robbed his first bank, stealing $10,000 from New Carlisle National Bank. Which, 10 grand back in 33, that was like
it's a big
probably 100, 150 grand now,
absolutely.
at least.
Huge, yeah.
It was huge.
To take.
Yeah. So, on August 14th of that same year, Dillinger then robbed a bank in Bluffton, Ohio. He was tracked by police from Dayton, Ohio. He was captured and later transferred to Allen County Jail in Lima, Ohio. He was also indicted on connection to the Bluffton robbery. After searching him before putting him into prison, the police discovered a document which was a prison escape plan.
Nice.
They demanded that Dillinger tell them immediately what the document meant, and he said, "No, I refuse." Of course, no, I'm going to tell you about this plan that I made out to escape your prison, jackass. Yeah, that's the first thing I'm going to do. So earlier, while he was in prison the first time, Dillinger helped conceive a plan to enable the escape of Pete Pierpont, Russell Clark, and 6 others he had met while he was in prison, most of whom worked in the prison laundry. Dillinger used friends smuggling guns into their cells. Man, the prisons really had a problem back here. We just smuggle guns to the prisoners. How do you smuggle guns in a prison?
Here, have some guns. And, and if you guys aren't sure what to do once you're out, have a manual on how to rob banks. See if we can catch you again.
So,
with the guns that we just gave you.
They used the guns and Dillinger's plan to escape prison just 4 days after Dillinger was captured. The group that formed up at this point that had escaped and everything was known as the First Dillinger Gang. So Pierpont, Clark, and McKaylee, who had just escaped prison, they arrived in Lima where Dillinger was being kept on October 12, 1933. They impersonated Indiana State police officers, claiming they had come to extradite Dillon to Indiana. The sheriff, Jess Sarber, asked for their credentials. Pierpont then shot Sarber dead, then released Dillinger from his cell. The 4 men came back to Indiana where they joined the rest of the gang. We need documentation. Boom, there's your documentation, motherfucker. There's the documentation.
Sign here, sir.
So between 33 and June of 34, they robbed 12 separate banks throughout Indiana and Chicago area.
Damn.
So Evelyn Billy Fretchett met John Dillinger in October 1933, and they began a sexual relationship in November of 1933. Jesus. After Dillinger's death, Billy was offered money for her story and wrote a memoir for the Chicago Herald and the Examiner in August of 1934. So, here's something noting about Dillinger. So on January 25th, 1934, Dillinger and his gang were captured in Tucson, Arizona. He was extradited to Indiana and escorted by Matt Leach, the chief of the Indiana State Police. Dillinger was taken to Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana, and imprisoned to face charges for the murder of a policeman who he killed during a bank robbery in East Chicago, Indiana. So on January 15th, 1934, the local police boasted to area newspapers that the jail that they put him in was completely escape-proof. No one could escape this jail, they said. No one ever has and no one ever will. And they said they even posted extra guards around the gang and Dillinger as extra protection so there's no way they could escape. So on Saturday, March 3rd, 1934, 2 months after Dillinger was arrested, Dillinger escaped during morning exercises with 15 other inmates.
Nice. Yeah.
He produced a pistol, catching the extra guards and the deputies by surprise, and he was able to leave the premises without even firing a single shot. Almost immediately afterwards, conjecture began whether the gun Dillinger displayed was real or not. So he used a fake gun, never fired a shot clearly because it was a fake gun that he had made while in the prison.
Yeah, that's a popular
And
story.
then he held up the guards and walked out of the front doors.
He would whittle wood to make it look like a fucking gun.
Yeah, he whittled wood.
And this place that's unescapable.
Unescapable. He held the guards at gunpoint with a wooden gun and walked out the front fucking doors.
Brilliant.
That is one ballsy son of a bitch.
Absolutely.
So, FBI files indicate that Dillinger used a carved fake pistol made out of wood. Sam Cahoon, a trustee who Dillinger took hostage in the jail, also said that he had carved the gun using a razor and some shelving from his cell.
So is it this point that he becomes public enemy number one?
Yeah, now he becomes public enemy number one.
Now it's kind of personal.
Yeah, now he pissed them off. Because he was just robbing some banks here and there. Now he's made them look like fucking idiots.
Like fools.
Yeah. He carved a wood gun with a razor blade they gave him out of a shelf they gave him.
Which, in his defense, they don't need much help.
No.
Looking like
they're over here
fools.
bragging about unescapable gels and shit. This dude has a wooden gun that... I mean, come on. He didn't have time to make the gun look that real. He couldn't have. Okay, he's carving it with a razor blade, for God's sakes, out of a wooden shelf.
Well, my thing is, if you're so confident that you're going to stand up and say this place is inescapable, you should be equally as confident the gun wasn't real.
Yeah. Take one for the team, motherfucker.
Well,
Jesus.
Yeah, well, not only that...
Call his bluff, see what
How
happens.
could he have possibly got a gun?
Yeah.
We brought extra help in.
Yeah. You got an unescapable gel. How you get a gun in?
Right.
So, on March 16th, Herbert Youngblood, who escaped
What's up, Youngblood?
Youngblood? From Crown Point. He escaped from Crown Point with Dillinger. He was shot dead by police in Port Huron, Michigan. There was also a deputy sheriff that was wounded in the battle and later died. Before he died, Youngblood told officers Dillinger was in the neighborhood of Port Huron, and immediately officers began a search for Dillinger, but no trace of him was found. And an Indiana newspaper reported that Youngblood later retracted the story and said he did not know where Dillinger was at the time, but he just did that to throw the police off his trail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Smart.
So...
You know why? Because fuck the police, that's why.
So at this point, the grand jury and the Federal Bureau of Investigation issued a nationwide manhunt for Dillinger. And Dillinger, this whole time, is in Lake County in Indiana.
Really?
Yeah. And was reunited with his girlfriend, Evelyn Billy Fretchett.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he knows where he's going.
So Dillinger...
She's got the Greek stuff.
Yeah. Dillinger stayed with her for almost 2 weeks, she said. However, the two had actually traveled to the Twin Cities and taken lodgings at St. Monica Apartments in Minneapolis, Minnesota also, where they stayed for 15 days. So, at that point, he met a man named John Red Hamilton and did a new gang consisting of Babyface Nelson.
Oh, nice.
Homer Van Meter, Tommy Carroll, and Eddie Green. 3 days from his escape from Crown Point, the second gang robbed a bank in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. A week later, they robbed the First National Bank in Mason City, Iowa. So, on March 34, they moved to Lincoln Court Apartments in St. Paul, Minnesota. And the landlord testified at Fretch's trial that she observed a lot that was happening during this time and their comings and goings. So she went to the FBI and reported all the information, including what they were driving and where they were parked behind the apartments. As a result of this tip, the building was placed under surveillance. So the next morning at approximately 10:15, they circled around the block looking for Hudson and the rest of the gang. They remained in the car, and Henry Cummings, a detective, pulled up and parked and entered the building. 10 minutes later, the detectives parked a green Ford coupe on the north side of the apartment building. So at this point, they're all in the apartment, and all the detectives and FBI agents are outside. So they knock on the door, and Fretchett answered and said she wasn't dressed and to come back. Coulter, one of the detectives, told her that they would wait. After waiting 2 or 3 minutes, Coulter went to the basement of the apartment to where the caretakers were and asked to use the phone to call the bureau. He quickly returned to the other detectives, and the two of them waited for Fretchett to open the door. Van Meter then appeared in the hall and asked Coulter if his name was Johnson. Coulter said it was not, and Van Meter passed on to the landing of the 3rd floor. Coulter asked for his name, and Van Meter replied, "I'm just a soap salesman." So Coulter says, "Well, where are your samples?" And Van Meter goes, "Oh, they're in the car." And then Coulter goes, "Do you have any credentials?" And Van Meter said, "Nope," and continued right on down the stairs. So Coulter waited a few seconds and then followed him down the stairs. As he got to the lobby of the ground floor, Van Meter opened fire with a Tommy gun on him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Coulter fled outside, chased by Van Meter. Van Meter ran back into the front entrance. So they shot out the rear tires of their car that Van Meter and them were driving. So while Coulter stayed with the car, Knowles, another detective, went to the corner drugstore and called the local police, then the bureau at the St. Paul's office. But unfortunately, he couldn't get through because both lines were busy.
Oh,
So at this time, Van Meter escaped in a passing coal truck.
Nice.
So Franchette said that she told Dillinger that the police had shown up. And upon hearing Van Meter firing at Coulter, Dillinger opened fire through the door with a Thompson submachine gun. Yeah. So this sent the other detectives running for cover. Dillinger then stepped out on the balcony and fired bursts off the balcony at Detective Cummings. Cummings shot back with his revolver, but quickly ran out of ammunition. He hit Dillinger in the left calf with one of his shots. Then he hastily retreated down the stairs to the front entrance. Dillinger and Frenchett then hurried down the stairs, exited through the back door, and drove away in their Hudson. After the shootout, Dillinger and Franchot drove to Ed Green Apartments in Minneapolis. So they called their associate, Dr. Clayton E. May, at his office. The doctor drove Dillinger to an apartment belonging to Augusta Salt, who had been providing nursing care and beds for illicit patients. May treated Dillinger's wounds with antiseptic. Green visited Dillinger on Monday, April 2nd, just hours before Green was mortally wounded by the FBI in St. Paul. Dillinger stayed at Dr. May's for 5 days until Wednesday, April 4th. Dr. May was promised $500 for his services, but received absolutely nothing.
Sounds about right.
So, now let's get to... So, he returns to Mooresville, okay, and he does some more crimes in Mooresville. And then Billy got arrested, and the other gang members tried to talk him out of rescuing Billy, which was that Franchot lady.
Yeah.
But Van Meter was the only one that encouraged him, saying that he knew where they could find bulletproof vests. That Friday morning, late at night, Dillinger and Van Meter took a hostage Warsaw, Indiana police officer Judge Pittner. They marched Pittner at gunpoint into the police station where they stole several more guns, more bulletproof vests, and after separating, Dillinger picked up Hamilton, who was recovering from the Mason County city robbery. The two then traveled to Upper Michigan Peninsula, where they visited with Hamilton's sister. So, on July 19th...
fucking busy,
I know.
God damn.
Okay, so now, after this, on the 22nd, they were hiding out in Little Bowen, in Wisconsin, and a special agent from the FBI, Melvis Purvis, approached the lodge because they got a tip where the three men were. So the three men exited the building and began to drive off. Agents yelled for the car to stop, but the driver didn't stop. Agents opened fire and the driver was killed. Dillinger and some of the gang members were actually still upstairs. They never even left. And in the lodge, and they began shooting out the windows at the FBI men. And
who had just murdered an innocent fucking bystander.
Yeah, they just didn't. Yeah, murdered an innocent guy who just tried to get the fuck away.
Right.
So Dillinger and the gang just opens fire on these motherfuckers.
Right.
So at this point, obviously, the FBI dived under the cars trying to hide from the assault of fully automatic machine guns that they were firing at them. So while this happened, Dillinger and his man ran out the back and fled. So July 1934, Dillinger dropped completely out of sight and the federal agents had no solid leads to follow him. He had in fact drifted into Chicago, where he went under the alias Jimmy Lawrence, a petty criminal from Wisconsin, who bore a close resemblance to Dillinger. Working as a clerk, Dillinger found that in a large metropolis like Chicago, he was able to lead an anonymous existence for a while. What he did not realize was that the center of the federal agents' dragnet also was in Chicago.
Oh, damn.
When authority found Dillinger's blood-spattered getaway car on a Chicago side street, they were positive that he was in the city. So in 1934, Dillinger also asked about plastic surgery, and he asked a guy named O'Leary to check with Pequot on such matters. At the end of April, Pequot paid a visit to his old friend, Dr. William Loser. Loser had practiced in Chicago for 27 years before being convicted for narcotics in 1931. With Pequot's help, he later testified that he performed facial surgery on himself and obliterated the fingerprint impressions on the tip of his fingers.
Damn.
With caustic soda preparation. Pequot told Dillinger he would have to pay $5,000 for the plastic surgery. $4,400 split between Pickwitt, Lozer, and O'Leary, and $600 to Dr. Harold Cassidy, who administer the anesthetic. The procedure would take place at the home of Pickwitt's longtime friend, James Prospo, at the end of May. On May 28th, Lozer was picked up at his home at 7:30 by O'Leary and Cassidy. The three of them drove to Prosco's place. Dillinger chose to have a general anesthetic. They later testified, I asked him what he wanted done. He wanted 2 moles removed from his right lower forehead between his eyes and outer left eye. He wanted a depression of the nose filled in, a scar, a large one, on the left of the median line of the upper lip, excised, one of his dimples removed, and one of the angle of his mouth drawn up. He didn't say anything about his fingerprints that day to me. But unfortunately, the anesthesiologist produced an overdose of ether, which caused Dillinger to suffocate. He began to turn blue.
Damn.
And stopped breathing. He stopped breathing.
Well, of course. If you're not breathing, you're not breathing.
So they pulled his tongue out of his mouth with forceps.
Jesus.
And forced both his elbows down to get his breath back to normal. So Dillinger even had plastic surgery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still got caught.
And still got caught, yes. So at approximately 8:30 p.m. on the night Dillinger died, he was observed entering the Biograph Theater. So the FBI was called, and they did a stakeout. And during the stakeout, the manager of the theater thought the agents were actually criminals setting up a robbery. So he called the Chicago Police Department, who responded and had to be told to leave by federal agents, who told them they were on a stakeout for an important target. So when the film ended, Purvis, one of the agents, stood by the front door and signaled when Dillinger exited by lighting a cigar. Both he and the other agents reported that Dillinger turned his head to look directly at the agents as he walked by, glanced across the street, then moved ahead of his female companions, reached into his pocket but did not produce a gun, and ran into a nearby alley. 3 men pursued Dillinger in the alley and fired. Clarence Hurt shot twice, Charles Winstead 3 times, and Herman Hollis once. Dillinger was then hit from behind and fell face first to the ground. Dillinger was struck a total of 4 times, with 2 bullets grazing him and 1 causing a superficial wound to the right side. The fatal bullet entered through the back of his neck, severed his spinal cord immediately, and passed into his brain and exited just under his eye. An ambulance was summoned, although it was soon apparent Dillinger had died from the gunshot wounds.
Basically killed instantly.
Oh, yeah.
It severed his spine.
He was pronounced dead at Alex and Brothers Hospital. According to investigators, Dillinger died without saying a word. Winstead, who shot the fatal shot, later received a personal letter of commendation from J. Edgar Hoover himself. 2 female bystanders were wounded when the shooting began. Dillinger bumped into one of them just as the shooting started. They were shot and was subsequently taken to Columbus Hospital. He was killed on July 22nd, 1934 at approximately 10:40 p.m., according to the New York Times. Dillinger's death came only 2 months after the deaths of fellow notorious criminals Bonnie and Clyde. There were reports of people dipping their handkerchiefs and skirts into the pool of blood that had formed as Dillinger lay in the alley as keepsakes. Souvenir hunters even madly dipped newspapers in the blood that stained the pavement. Handkerchiefs were whipped out and used to mop up the blood.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, that was
so there is the story of Mr. John Dillinger.
32 to 34 there, it was like, literally, it was like 18 months of mayhem.
Dude, he was wild, boy, yeah.
He wasn't the only one, you know. There was
but I mean, he was just ballsy as shit about it.
Well, yeah,
Bonnie and Clyde were ballsy too, but he was ballsy as hell.
He was out for vengeance against society.
He stepped right out of a hotel room with a fucking Thompson.
Yeah.
And just unloaded. Just fuck you, fuck it. He was like the Scarface of that generation. He's like, say hello to my little friend, motherfucker.
Yeah, well, you know,
he gave no fucks.
He got sentenced to prison.
None.
You know, like you said, had the gonorrhea bout. But yeah, there was a time when it literally his mindset shifted.
Yeah.
To this is what I'm gonna do. And fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he just at that point was like, fuck society, fuck this world, and you know what? I'm just tired of the shit, and I'm going to do the only thing I know, which is take shit by force. Right. Fuck y'all, motherfucker.
Right, absolutely.
But I mean, to step out on a balcony when you know the FBI's down there and just unload, just like, fuck everybody in this parking lot, I'll kill whoever's standing down there, fuck y'all, motherfuckers. That is one crazy son of a ballsy bitch.
Yeah, he is.
To walk into a police station with a gun in a policeman's back and just steal bulletproof vests and fucking guns and shit and then walk out.
And it's fascinating, too, to do everything that he did and somehow gain the respect in the public eye.
Yeah.
Like, these motherfuckers are dipping their handkerchiefs in his blood.
Well, it was the 30s. I mean, people hated the government as much as he did. Yeah.
He was famous. Absolutely.
I mean, like they said, he was Robin Hood. You know, he gave hope to a culture back then that was just so sick and tired of the government and so sick and tired of the bullshit. And the government at that time, you know, there was no food stamps. There was no welfare.
It was depression. There was nothing.
Right. They said basically government back then was like, do it yourself. You can't do it yourself, fuck you.
Right.
Right. So, you know, society was just at the point where they were just sick. They're like, the government's not helping us. We have no jobs, no way to make our living. We're dying out here, and it's like our government doesn't give a shit.
Yeah,
cops don't give a shit. Nobody gives a shit.
Get anything is literally to steal it from
him. And, you know, that's what they looked at him like.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing what we want to do.
Right.
Well, anyways, that was John Dillinger, and I hope you all enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening.
Yes. And again, if you could just do us a favor here, if you like us, please recommend us to a friend. Tell somebody about us. Spread the word. The more you do that, the better off it is for us and the more people we can reach. And we do appreciate that highly. And for everybody that is listening, and there's a lot more of you now than there was a few months ago. I see y'all. I want to thank you for listening to us every week and taking the time out of your day to like what two guys in Indiana have to say about bullshit.
Right.
So we do appreciate y'all, and I want y'all to know that. And I will see you next time.
Later.